Welcome, everyone, to Young at Heart, number 153. I'm Father James DeLuzio, ready, willing, and able to offer you nursery rhymes, stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, Aesop's fables, Lewis Carroll, limericks, larks, and other things to keep us all young at heart. I'm Father James DeLuzio with the Paulist Fathers. I might have already said it, but I've lost track because I'm so excited to share with you part 2 of the African American folktale entitled A Vital Decision. The first part was most delightful, and I confess I would have loved to finish it there. But here we go, because we must be authentic to the story as it was told from generations to generations. So there was the poor man and his family, and the rich man who had no family. The father of the poor was in a bad mood, one would say, when he and his sons were out looking for rats, which they sold in the market. He threatened them with death if they let a rat escape. The youngest son did in fact do so, and he whacks him with an axe. The poor kid falls to the ground and is left there to bleed to death. The father is so disgusted, and the brothers did nothing. At any rate, I invited you to make some comparisons with that and this part of the story, because the wealthy man with no children was an outstanding citizen and admired by people, but at the same time a source of ridicule. What are you going to do with all that fortune? You have no children to leave it with. But the king was so impressed with the man's wealth and his education, and it seems like implied his generosity to the community. Someone who really should have been respected but was mocked because of it. Anyway, the king says to him, "Look, if you have a son, I'd like my daughter to marry him because obviously you're pretty wealthy and a very good guy." So the rich man says, "I have a son. He's out in the forest." So when he goes searching in the forest, he comes upon the poor man's youngest son who's bleeding to death. And he gets off his horse and he tends to the wounds and he puts him on his horse. And then they walk to the next village, and then he calls to his servants, and there's a great big parade. Yeah, like another story that I'm thinking of. So many. I hope you thought of many. So this is part 2. I'm recording it on the same day, but I'm not offering it until the following day, which is Tuesday. Today happens to be Monday. Nevertheless, I hope you've enjoyed part 1. Go to Young at Heart number 152. This is 153, so you got to keep them straight. Okay. Oh, I worked out today. Did you? Did you do your exercises? I guess that's why I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling energized and very happy to be sharing this with you. All right, I'll start. Now, the king gives his daughter to the young man, and they're married. And then the young man, I forgot to tell you from yesterday, and he's got a great reputation. People love him. He's the right-hand man of the king. So in the meantime, the poor man was going everywhere possible to find out if anyone had seen his son. Finally, he found out that his son has married the king's daughter and had become a powerful man. Now, what does that remind you of? Well, he went to the king and he demanded to have his son back. I don't like this part. Do you? Well, come inside. We have to discuss this, said the rich man. I don't want anyone to hear us talking. Come, why don't you live here with your entire family in my palace, and I will give you land, I will give you cattle, but you mustn't say a word to anyone, otherwise I'll be mortified. they believe that this young man is my son. The poor man was dissatisfied with such an offer. He went to his son and he asked the son, "Why would you want to stay here in the city? We used to get 100 cowries for each rat, but today they fetch 200. Your brother has already bought 3 sheep. Come back and live with us in the wood." The rich man came and begged the father to leave this young man in peace. But the poor man would not give in, and the rich man finally said, "All right, I will give you your son back, but first I will accompany him and you into the forest." In the evening they departed. First the poor man, then behind him on horseback the rich man, and finally the son. Right in the midst of the bush, the rich man stopped and said, "I want to return home now." "That's fine. Farewell," said the poor man. The rich man dismounted and he took the young man's hand. "What do you want?" the rich man said. "What do you want?" the poor man asked, "now that you have become my son again?" The rich man drew his sword and gave it to the young man and said, "If you want to go with your blood father, kill me now. But if you want to stay with me, kill your father. Because if you don't come with me, I would just as soon die." The young man took the sword and stood between the 2 fathers, his blood father and the adopted rich father. Should he kill his father, the man who raised him, but who also nearly killed him because of a rat? Then people would say that he had killed his father because he preferred money. Or should he kill the rich man, the man who helped him and made him wealthy, and the son-in-law of a king? Should he be returning to a life of catching rats? The young man had no idea what to do. And if the 3 are now not dead already, there's no doubt that they're still standing there. 'Tis a puzzlement. So, once again, you are asked, what would you do? What would you recommend? Now, try not to stay too much in the 21st century. Try to think back when, especially in more ancient times, blood relation was like practically everything, thicker blood than water and the whole thing. And yet, even in ancient times, compassion and wealth were very much admired and respected. So they give us a terrible, terrible situation, all this killing, but that's how the story is presented, and that's what I leave to you. I look forward to conversing a little bit more about you next time. I'll have a new story, but we'll do a little epilogue with this. Invite your friends and family to watch yesterday's 152 and today's 153, and let me know what you come up with. It will be a delightful opportunity for more dialogue. We can find those points of intersection between this story and the many, many other stories from our European and American traditions that have points of intersection. Meanwhile, if you go out, whenever you're watching this, day or night, wear your masks. Keep safe, stay healthy, and God bless. Bye, everyone.